Hello and welcome to Apex Racing TV's coverage of the Apex Racing Academy Formula 3 Virtual Racing School Super Series. We're here at the Temple of Speed Monza for round 7 of the championship as we head into the final month of the season. My name is Sam Fitzpatrick, alongside me is Jack Canan, Marco Barbanero operating the cameras, and Jack, I think this is one of the best races one of the best racetracks we can visit all season long. This place has such a high slipstream rate that racing is pretty much guaranteed. You don't need to necessarily be the fastest around here, but racecraft is going to be key.
Absolutely, yeah, it is the absolute perfect track for junior Formula cars. They've got the slipstream. The slipstream, as you said, is really powerful around this circuit as well. Really high speed, plenty of overtaking opportunities. Basically every corner has an opportunity for you to at least line up a pass, if not go for it. But championship standings as it stands at the moment, it is Paulo Dreita at the top on 248, but just 14 points back is Thiago Marteau, who's been on good form, 10 points back from that. Connor Bell, and then Will Redford and Vesterhoff. And then with that, Daniel Civizabo and Brian Kroon, Aaron Smith, Florian Beer, and Jensen Adrian says they're your top 10 in the standings. Of course, we have two splits. Here's your AM standings. It's, of course, Aaron Smith at the top on 176. 13 points back is Florian Beer. He's tied with Jensen Adriansens. Boberg is 4th. Kevin Kittelman lies in 5th on 152 with Brunstad, Dunn, Costa da Silva, Chuck Morrow, and Justin Negriti in P10 in the championship. Still pretty close with another month left in the title, but Paulo Dreita with a 14-point lead at the moment, but it is Marteau with the fastest opening lap of his third lap. His second lap actually was his fastest so far. Of course, they've got another 2 to go if they don't invalidate. 2 tenths to the good over Paulo Dreita. But the thing with qualifying, Sam, is that these guys don't have the benefit of having another car to break the tow, or to tow them down the straight. Normally in F1 qualifying, we've seen some, let's say, farcical scenes of trying to get a slipstream, but no such problems here.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a problem for these drivers, and I mean, I loved that qualifying. I must say it's one of my favourite F1 moments in recent years, but I appreciate how other people maybe weren't such a big fan of it. So yeah, that was pretty chaotic on that occasion. But yeah, solo qualifying, so no team games between the drivers. It very much comes down to pace, even more so. And Marteau and Dreita at the top. No surprise whatsoever right there, but of course the track just gets faster and faster, the tyres get faster and faster. I expect to see those times improving as we progress.
Yeah, you can see Connor Bell trying to shorten his run to the line as much as possible. He goes to 2nd, a 10th behind Marteau, but trying to shorten that run to the line as much as possible off the exit of the Parabolica. Vesterhoff pops into 3rd, good lap from the Dutch driver. Paulo Dreita, he's about to just come through the Parabolica now. He's going to come across the line again, just shortening that run to the start finish, and he goes to the top on a 43.744, a 10th in front of Marteau, and Marteau does not improve on his previous time. He's a 10th back from him. Here comes Daniel Costa da Silva. He's going to shorten his run to the line. Line is right there, and he goes to 14th in the overall standings. And then just Mark Redford, he's about to come to the Parabolica. Of course, some great corner names over this whole circuit. You've got the Parabolica, the Rettifilio chicane, Ascari, and Curva Grande, to name but a few. And you've got opportunities the whole way through this lap. But just one more attempt for these drivers before they will get across the line for the final time. Top 4 all pro drivers. Justin Negriti, he's currently the fastest man in the AM category. Then of course we have Adriansen just popping into 2nd place right there. And now of course remember, it is Aaron Smith who's at the top of the standings, but as far as I can see, unless I'm missing something here, I can't actually see him. Well, he is on the standings, but he hasn't actually put a lap in yet. He's just about to finish his 2nd lap here, and let's see where he goes. He's leading the championship by a small margin of 13 points. Here he comes to the line. Let's see where he's going to get himself in the order. He goes up into P12, but still a little ways off from the top. It's Connor Bell on to provisional pole. Now Paulo Dreta popping into the front ahead of Marteau. Now Marteau pops to the front with Dreta second, Bell third, Vesterhoff fourth, Justin Negrete. He's got a little bit quicker. He's currently P5 in the AM category. Then Mark Redford lines up just behind him. But still, now we wait for the last few to come across the line. There's Mark Redford, a little bit of understeer on the way through Parabolica, and he's going to get on the power on the way to the line. He's currently lying in P6 in his class. He doesn't quite get across the line to finish his lap. We're going to get through the grid in just a second's time for the first race of the night. It is Marteau on pole by 0.2 of a second over his championship rival Paulo Drete. He's leading the championship by 14 points. Conor Bell lines up in third. Stephen Vesterhoff in fourth. Negrete, he lines up in P5. He's also on pole for the AM class. Will Redford lines up in P6. Jensen Adriansens, it lines up behind him. Then it's Simon Brunstad, Dara Adriansens, Jack Reeve, Rock Mertzel, then Florian Beer in P12. Then a little ways further down the order is Kevin Kittleman, Aaron Smith, Christian Engelhardt, Daniel Costa da Silva, Derek Holland, Richard Boberg, Steve Brown, Alexander Roggenbuck, and Mark Redford at the back of the order. So it's going to be a really interesting race. We're just waiting to head to the line, waiting for the guys to grid up for this race. And we look forward to seeing how these guys are going to get through. They're all going to make the feature race, of course. Of course, we just have a 20-minute heat race followed by a 30-minute feature race. We're just waiting for the guys to grid up for the 2-minute countdown to the grid. And nice to have our championship runners on the front row of the grid as well, to add to the drama that's about to ensue here. 14 points in favor of Dreta going into this one. And looking forward to seeing how this one unfolds as we wait for the drivers to line up. But Sam, I think you're back with me now. Championship runners on the front row. Dreta in second. Not necessarily a bad place to start from.
Absolutely, it's a long run down into turn one, so always the possibility for a change, and maybe with the inside line that could be advantageous as the lights are coming on for the first time this evening. And we are away for 20 minutes of racing. Great start for Conor Bell from third place on the grid. And who's that storming around the outside? I think that's Justin Negrete storming around the outside. It's a terrible start for the pole sitter. However, Marteau's down into 8th position straight away off the line as they head into turn one for the first time. It's Dreta who leads. Negrete couldn't quite take the lead, but it's still an astonishing start for him. Round is Will Redford, who's that's a massive hit to his championship contention right there. It was a crazy start and plenty of changes off the line.
Yeah, what an awful start from Marteau. Just so much wheel spin. Here comes Conor Bell back up the inside of Justin Negrete. They're going to go side by side through the first chicane. And Negrete is still in front though. It's getting a little bit tight for space. Vesterhoff is going to try and get past the both of them into Lesmo 1 for the first time. Dreta has the advantage though. He's got a well clear. Look at the car off. Negrete heads off the road. Vesterhoff is around. Oh, we got another car around in the background. That's Adriansens. Jensen Adriansens goes around. Another one's going to join in with a little tap in the rear. That's Kevin Kittleman who's gone around as well. It's getting a little bit frantic coming through Lesmo 1 into Lesmo 2. No such problems for our race leader though, Paulo Dreta in the lead. Vesterhoff is second. Conor Bell going for up the inside into Ascari. We just saw the end of that, but with Vesterhoff managing to hang it around the outside. Vesterhoff very, he wanted to get that door shut and he just about did it. But Marteau, he's made a decent recovery. Oh, we got another one. Brunstad joins the list of guys who will end up having to go back to pit lane. He's got the rear suspension broken on that on the exit of Ascari. And now 20-minute race coming up for these guys. It's got really hectic. Paulo Dreta 2.5 seconds out in the lead. Vesterhoff second. Conor Bell is third. Marteau 8th up to 4th. But he really had a terrible getaway. Now we're going to see the slipstream once again. Bell's going to have this pretty easy. Big squeeze for Vesterhoff onto almost the pit lane exit, and Conor Bell will slipstream his way back up into second place. But Paulo Dreta is 2.5 seconds clear up the road, and that's exactly what he needs. Marteau's still P4, but now he's joined the fray.
Yeah, after all of that, we've still got some of the big names at the front, haven't we? I mean, Westerhoff has had a couple of sensational rounds so far this season, particularly Silverstone, he was very strong. And then around him are 3 of the championship rivals. Redford, of course, well done the order and coming out of the pit lane, so it's good to see Will at least going to be able to finish the race as long as he doesn't have another problem. And it's not that far back. If he is getting out of pits, there he is. It's about 40 seconds off the lead, so a good effort for him to get back out on circuit. The drivers do get one faster pair, of course, so even if you do collect a lot of damage, it's not necessarily the end of the world for you. As Marteau looking to gain a place on his fellow countryman. Negriti really dropping off these guys at the top of the amateur drivers, but these top 4 are really showing their class right now.
Yeah, they really are. Negrite is kind of on his own there in P5. Mertzel just behind. A little bit of a poor run from Westerhoff through the Ascari chicane, gets loose on the way out, and Marteau finds the inside on the way up towards Parabolica. He'll also get the slipstream off of Conor Bell in front of him as well. So it'll be a move up the inside for Marteau. That'll move him up into 3rd place, but again, Westerhoff tries to fight it around the outside of Parabolica, but there's nothing he can do, and Marteau moves up to P3 in front of his Dutch counterpart as they come across the start-finish line to begin another lap. Drayton sets the fastest lap of the race, but now you're going to see Westerhoff is going to try to come straight back at Marteau, but he actually just decides to stay behind. He brakes and stays in the slipstream, just moves out of it slightly, doesn't want to go for that overtake, stays behind the car of Marteau, as we're now going to have a look at that start again, Sam, and you're going to see let's see what happened to Marteau, because he got a terrible getaway. Let's just have a listen here as he revs up the engine, gets ready to go. Oh, just couldn't get it away. Listen to that wheel spin.
Yeah, that was odd, isn't it? When we got Marteau, such a good driver, it really cannot be underestimated what a quality field this is. And Marteau, a successful driver in various championships, lots of experience in this Formula 3 car. And yet that was something that you'd do in your first race, wasn't it? You kind of drop the clutch or whatever system he has, and yeah, it can go badly. I mean, I've done probably 100 odd races in the Porsche Cup and the Radicals, and I still sometimes do that. I must say Marteau's a much better driver than me, but that is still surprising, and of all the places to do it, Monza was not the place. However, he avoided getting hit up the rear by anyone else storming through. He survived turn 1. And he's got a good chance at a podium here, maybe 2nd place, maybe even the race win. So he'll be feeling pretty good about himself right now, I think, after that. Poor lap for Westerhoff, by the way. He's dropped back off those drivers, and 2.5 seconds behind. So Westerhoff maybe going to have to look behind him at Negrete soon. And also, we're just watching Jack Reeve getting fairly close to Florian Beer. Beer up 4 places, Costa da Silva up 6 places, Boberg up 6 places. Of course, still a championship contender is Boberg after losing the championship earlier on in the season. So plenty of stuff going on. I think we're about to see a move actually for Reeve and Beer a bit further back, and also Brown and Kittelman have just had issues. So Reeve does make that move then on B, made that one pretty easy, and Kittelman, I think these guys are their teammates, aren't they, Brown and Kittelman? And I think they may have collided.
Possibly. We've just seen him limping out of Parabolica with front wing and suspension damage. So ideal if teammates have come together in that last corner. And I think that's not the first time we've kind of seen that, though. 2 teammates coming together. And unfortunately, it seems to have happened once again here at the Monza circuit, and Steve Brown just looping it around, and unfortunately he was there meeting them in a wrong place, wrong time. Kevin Kittelman had to go around the outside on the gravel trap, so slightly separate incidents, but they both ended up at the same place, the wrong place, wrong time. Right there for both of those, but Negrite managed to get in front of Westerhoff. Yeah, Westerhoff's dropping down the order, so maybe he's at an off here. He has. It's a bad place to be, right in the middle, and he's going to get collected by one of the cars of Christian Engelhardt, I think that was, that just tapped him in the rear, and Engelhardt had a big off there as well in Ascari as a result of that contact. That was almost a carbon copy of Sebastian Vettel's spin. Let's have a look at that again through the chicane. Engelhardt just tried to take avoiding action here. Here's Vestrov anyway, just gets on the curb, loses it on the gravel, holds the brake, and comes out just in a bad place. These guys do really well to get around him, and unfortunately he just moves forward a little bit, and then Engelhardt hops the curb. There's not really you could do there, and he went around and into the barriers in a big way, but everyone else did a really good job to get around him, considering where the car was. Not easy to do, but that was unlucky for Engelhardt. He just caught the curb and he didn't really have any steering to get out of the way.
Yeah, I mean, at first glance I was thinking, could Christian have slowed down a little bit more there, but actually he probably did slow down and gave more room than everyone else. He just gave so much room that he clipped the curb, and as you say, once you do that, you lose your steering ability, so big shame there. Nothing really anyone could do. I mean, you just got to stay in that position, maybe tow back to the pits, but honestly I think, you know, when you're racing out there, you don't want to lose that much time, so you just have to sit still and hope that the drivers approaching you will take evasive action. Great work from Reeve to get past. In fact, great work from everyone who's behind Negretti, Merzel, Smith and Reeve for all getting through. And Reeve was able to overtake Beer earlier on. Since then though, he has not really been able to drop him. Costa de Silva is on an absolute stormer right here. He's half a second a lap faster on that last tour round of the circuit was the Portuguese. He's now into the draft of these drivers. If they keep on battling like this, he could well be with them very soon. Beer with the overspeed into the Parabolica, and he moves back ahead. So these two seem very evenly matched.
Yeah, they do indeed, just swapping around into the Parabolica. No fight put up by Jack Reeve. And Conor Bell fast left the race that time by. He's actually catching up to Drayton slowly but surely. Here comes Jack Reeve again. He's going to go for the inside for the first chicane, and that should be relatively easy. Florian Beer, I don't think he's going to fight this too hard on the brakes. Well, actually he is. He's going to brake late and go around the outside. They are going to duke it out into the chicane. Really should have plenty of room. That's dragged Costa da Silva right into it now. He's caught them up, and now he's in the draft through the Curva Grande for the 6th time tonight. We're halfway through this first race of the evening, and Florian Beer is now going to have to try and defend from Jack Reeve into the second chicane. A little bit defensive from him. Looks to the outside, no way through. Hops the curb. He's going to compromise his line on the way through. Down towards Lesmo 1 they come. Defensive again from Florian Beer. Jack Reeve, no way through. Getting great views of this from Costa da Silva's car. Through Lesmo 1, down towards Lesmo 2 they will go. And possibly an opportunity now for Jack Reeve to try and get back past again into Ascari. Downhill with the slipstream. Normally you would have DRS down this straight if you were in a F1 car of any kind, or a Formula 3.5. It's no way through, and he's just looking and staying where he is, and possibly lining him up through the Parabolica, but no move on for either of these guys. A little bit loose from Costa da Silva through the chicane, but he sorts it all out, and this is exactly the view that the drivers see for the entire race when you're chasing after somebody. Tunnel vision, chasing after the cars in front. Paulo Drayton and personal best that time just opens the gap very slightly for Conor Bell. There he is, 43.852. Behind him, that's Conor Bell, not too far off him. And Marteau sits P3 at the moment, but Drayton on course to extend that lead. Here's Merzel, and he's under pressure from the AM class championship leader. That's Aaron Smith. You see the move in the background between Reeve and Beer. That's going to white out once again. Beer late on the brakes on the inside, and Reeve has to back out. He leaves him space though, maybe a little bit too much space, and they will go side by side through the Curva Grande. So they're losing each other time, but they're also being really careful with each other, leaving each other space.
Yeah, I mean, if they were in isolation, this would be brilliant. Now, unfortunately, they have got Costa da Silva behind, and they got Bobo, of course, catching up. So it's not too beneficial for them. As we have a slight Lance Stroll at the moment there. That was Reeve getting ahead. Apologies, I realise that's the biggest criticism I can possibly give to our wonderful producer, Marco Barbanera. But we did fortunately cut back to it nice and quick. So yeah, Reeve back ahead in this battle, but it's all very temporary, isn't it? I mean, we've got such long straights around this circuit. They will trim out the wing, and I guess that will kind of reduce the slipstream effect. I see it in F1 every year here at Monza, where compared to other circuits, the slipstream is negligible because they've barely got any rear wings. But still, in these Formula 3 cars, the tow is very strong because Reeve gets past one moment and then Beer is able to storm past back the next. And of course, the lack of downforce that they're running makes these corners so tricky. It's a little bit of a Le Mans effect, which main drivers will feel when they're racing GTs around that circuit. They just got absolutely no grip around the Porsche curves as Smith moves ahead of Merzel. Smith, of course, going for the Amateur Championship. Merzel having a terrific race at the moment for Switzerland. However, Smith was a few tenths of a second faster and has got ahead. Meanwhile, Reeve is back ahead again of Beer, but honestly that could change into the next chicane.
In the defence of our wonderful broadcaster Marco Barbonera, Dreta did go into the gravel trap, to be fair. But anyway, we'll let him go this time down into the chicane. We will see once again Florian Beer around the outside. Lovely move from him. And Jack Reeve now going to try and come back up the inside again. Lesmo one, but he gets the door shut. That was definitely a little bit of contact into the first Lesmo one. Just trying to get the most he could. He's now going to have to go and try and go on the slight defensive against Costa da Silva. Look how much ground he's lost right now. I wonder, did he pick up a little bit of front end damage from that little tap into the back of Florian Beer? Just compromised his line a little bit. Also, somebody else who's been putting in a lot of work, Connor Bell, has reeled in Dreta. Look at that, the gap's down to about a second, and he'll certainly have a draft, a slight one at that, but he's put in some serious effort, and Connor Bell is now in the distant tow of our leader as they come across the line. Look at that, 0.3 of a second he's pulled out of our leader, and it's not like Dreta was going slow. But you can see Connor Bell is definitely still in with a shout of this, and he's brought that gap down to about a second in the space of a couple of laps. He's been chipping away at it slowly, and he's got a slight little toe now. It'll reduce, it'll go back and forth across the lap, but Dreta still has the advantage as we go back once again to this battle. Here is now Costa da Silva. He's going to try and get past Jack Reeve, who no longer has the benefit of the toe of Florian Beer. Down the inside goes the Portuguese driver. Reeve opens the steering for him, and you can see he's done well to defend that, but Costa da Silva, we actually can't see him. He's there on the inside line for Curva Grande. Here comes Adriansons is now next up on the list, who wants to join this one. He's there just behind. Now Costa da Silva slots in front. Jack Reeve outside into the Curva Grande. It'll turn into the inside for the next chicane, and he should be able to slot this one back up the inside again. But again, when you do that, you compromise your exit just a tad, but he does well to get out of it. Now, so all of a sudden, there's an Adriansons in this, and not too far off the back is Richard Boberg as well. So that small bit of battling has actually let Jack Reeve get away, and it seems, or Florian Beer get away. Now Jack Reeve seems to be the cork in the bottle for the rest of his. Adriansons now decides to go for it.
Yeah, and I think that gap originally kind of formed because Reeve was feeling a bit under pressure into the second Lesmo against Costa da Silva. Missed the apex as there goes Costa da Silva, really slow on the inside there. That seemed a little bit odd. Doubt there was a slowdown there, but giving up the position to Adriansons, who hitches onto the back of Reeve. And of course, Jensens won the Amateur Championship in the Apex Racing League GT Championship, the Colbeck Apex Racing League GT Championship Season 4, which, by the way, is starting back up again next week. Very exciting. There's still a couple more places, 60 car grid, and we've got like 55 slots available, 55 slots filled, 5 slots available. You can check that out at apexracingleague.com, along with all of our other series. As here comes Adriansons getting that one stuck easy. The question is, does he have enough pace to start pulling away from Reeve, or will this kind of be the version 2 of Beer and Reeve, who are switching positions every single lap? Just a few moments ago, at first viewing, it looks like it may well be, because here comes Reeve, has to go to the outside. Doubt this one will be too positive for him, honestly. Has to get enough of his car alongside as Adriansons, who stays ahead, but no, if I was Reeve right here, Jack, I would just stay behind Adriansons to try to drop Costa da Silva and Boberg, because so far that fighting has really hurt him.
Yeah, it has, because Florian is now about 4 seconds up the road all of a sudden. So that just shows you what the battling costs you. So let's keep an eye on it anyway. As Paulo Dreita, he's still in the lead this one. He's had a big slide through the Parabolica. That was nearly a terminal spin for him. Paulo Dreita, a bit of a seat of the pants moment right there. He comes across the line, and you see fast lap of the race for Connor Bell just behind, and he's just immediately taken away by Marteau, who sits in third, 43.4. But he's actually fallen back a little bit as Marteau. Degrete, he's the leader of the AM category. Just in the background, a shot, that's Aaron Smith, who's P2 in this one. He's also the leader of the championship. And then you have Rock Mertzel, who's P5 in P6 in class, or P4 in class, sorry. Florian Beer, then Adriansons, Reeve, Costa, and then Ricard Boberg. Will Redford's recovered quite well, actually. Will Redford, he's up to P12 overall, considering he had a spin on lap number 1. He's recovered to a decent place. But this is the man who's led every single lap of this race so far. It's Paulo Dreita, championship leader in the pro category. He'll extend it. I'll be finishing in front of Marceau. He takes a 14-point lead into this race. Will certainly help his cause by finishing ahead of him as well. Connor Bell does do a good for him as well by finishing in front of Marceau. He closed the gap up to second in the championship as Dreita continues to fling his car through Ascari, and he's now going to cross the line to begin the final lap. I would imagine we should get one more lap in here for race number 1, as here comes Florian Beer. He's actually going to pass Rock Mertzel, and he's up to, that seems like an issue for Mertzel. He's going slowly, and now has he picked up a slowdown, or is that damage for
Seems like
Rock
it might
Mertzel?
be fuel, potentially.
It's fuel. Yeah. Yeah, it's fuel.
I mean, he's well short. I mean, yeah, he will do well to get that back to the pits. Adriansons! Oh, what have you done, Jensens? That is not a place to go off. I can only imagine he's overcorrected his spin. He will, of course, get past Merzel, but this is great news for Reeve. Up a couple of places, Costa Silva up a couple, Boberg up a couple. And Merzel just trying to get back to the pits. He does need to cross the line here in order to score points, otherwise he'll be 2 laps down. So you can just use the clutch to get that thing into his pit stop, or be able to refuel. As is someone else going to come into the pits? No, that's just about alright. That could be in a very awkward circumstance there. The checkered flag is coming out, or the time is up. This will be the last lap of the race, and I'm just hoping that Merzel can reach the line in time. It comes up pretty quick, so I think he should be alright. Yeah,
he's just rolling that thing down towards his pit box. Thankfully for him, he's carried enough momentum into the pit lane, but here is Dreita. If he holds it together for the rest of this lap, he will take the race 1 victory using all of the road and a bit more through Ascari. Onto the grass he went, and he's certainly not giving it up. He wants to go for a fastest lap maybe in this last phase of the race. Through the Parabolica he will come for the last time. In race number 1, takes it a little bit more conservatively this time, and he will run across the start-finish line. Race number 1 of the night goes to the Brazilian Paulo Dreita, who wins the opening race of the evening. Connor Bell is second, and Marceau will finish in third. Negrete, great drive from him. He takes the AM class victory in race number 1. Fastest lap goes to Marceau, who got across there. Then we'll just have a quick look back to this battle. This is an interesting one. Florian Beer versus Costa da Silva down towards the Parabolica. He will come, they'll chuck it in, and a little bit of a run for Jack Reeve up the inside. They'll run to the line between these two, but Reeve carries the momentum, and he will continue to get across. I think actually Costa da Silva might have just a little bit short on fuel. He just gets across the line there, and Boberg crosses behind him. Adriansons will come across in P10. There's still a fight going on between these guys. Kevin Kittleman, who had that earlier crash, Steve Brown as well, and Brunstad as well, who crashed out on lap number 1. He's trying to make a recovery and get past these guys here. He's going to try and get past Steve Brown up the inside into the final corner. Gets the run on him, has the inside for the Parabolica. Up the inside he goes, moves up ahead, and manages to keep his line through the Parabolica, and he'll come across the line for 15th place in this race. Just waiting for Mark Redford, Vesterhoff, and Mertzel, who did manage, I think, to get back to pit lane, put some fuel in, and he is going to get it across the start finish. There he is, he's actually done it, and he is going to stay just one lap down. So thankfully for him, he just about managed to do it. Mark Redford, Vesterhoff, and Rock Mertzel, who underfueled his car by a lap, he's managed to at least get that car across the start finish line and get some fuel in it and get it across the line to finish race number 1, and then we'll be heading to the feature in just a few minutes time with a 30-minute race coming up.
Yeah, of course, those starts in grid for race 2 are going to be the finishing order of this race 1. So we've just got a 5-minute break. In that time, we are going to show you a little trailer for one of our several sponsors for this broadcast and for this championship. Many of these sponsors offering prizes to the drivers. We super appreciate their commitment to the series. So we'll be back with you for race 2 of the evening in just a moment on Apex Racing TV. See you back in just a minute.
Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Pekin Freeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Welcome back to Meeting 7 of the Apex Racing Academy Formula 3 Virtual Racing School Super Series. We've just seen a very exciting 20-minute race 1 of the evening. We've got one more race 2, which will last 30 minutes in length. The starting order, the finishing order for this previous race, which ended up having Paolo Jeta at the top of the standings, 1 second clear of Connor Bell. Bell looks faster, honestly. He managed to get that gap down from about 2 seconds to 1 second over the course of the race, but Jeta had enough to hold on. Kai Thiago Marteau was always keeping them honest throughout in 3rd place. Top of the amateurs was Justin Negretti, as Aaron Smith, Florian Beard, Jack Reeve, Daniel Costa da Silva, Ricard Boberg, and Jensen Adjunsson's running out the top 10. Will Redford recovered well after having to take a fast repair in the early stages. In 11th, there's Alexander Roggenbach. Darragh Adriansson, Kevin Kissman, Simon Brunstad, Steve Brown, Mark Redford, and Stephen Westerhoff in 18th. Rock Merzel, who ran out of fuel, and the retirees were Engelhardt and Holland. Of course, it was an absolute dreadful start in race 1 for Martey, Jack. Not really something we've seen in the other rounds of the championship. You reckon that he would have kind of stuck to his guns on this one, or maybe he will change his process a bit, because you really cannot afford the same thing to happen again?
Yeah, I've actually just seen him, Sam. He's on the start-finish right now, practicing his starts. There he is on the right-hand side. That's Marteau. Just like getting his biting point right this time. He's going forward, back, forward and back, forward and back. So he's making sure he's got his start settings right for this time. That's a little bit too much wheel spin, Marteau, for that one. So he's making sure that he has a biting point. And again, he seems to be struggling with wheel spin to get off the line for whatever reason. Just seems they are a little bit tricky actually to get off the line, these cars. So let's see what happens. He's starting in 3rd for this one. There's a big hop across the curb for Negrete, who then managed to avoid the barrier. But Marteau, he's desperate to get his starts right. That was a good one. If he can replicate that one, that would be great for him. We'll see the grid now in just a moment's time as we flick over to the feature race. And here it is. Paolo Dreita starts on pole for this one. Connor Bell 2nd. Then Marteau lines up in 3rd. Then Negrete at the head of the Anfield in P4. Aaron Smith lines up 5th. Florian Beard, Jack Reeve, Daniel Costa da Silva. Then it's Rickard Boberg and Jensen Adriansson. Will Redford starts 11th. Alexander Roggenbuch in P12. Darragh Adriansson, Kevin Kittleman, Simon Brunstad, Steve Brown, Mark Redford, Stephen Westerhoff. And then it's Rock Merzel, Christian Engelhardt, and Derek Holland at the very back of this 21-car field. So we're just waiting for Connor Bell to line up. Dreita facing towards turn 1. He's got the clear track in front of him now. And waiting for Connor Bell and Engelhardt to just ready up here. But Marteau, he's got to get this start right. Now, thankfully, he does have some cars in front of him this time, and he might be able to get a tow down towards turn 1. But he seems to be struggling with this start procedure. But here we go, feature race of the night, about to get away from the line. Round 7 is go. Good start from Dreita. Immediately goes to cover Connor Bell, and again it was not a good start from Marteau. He wheel spins off the line, losing places as he heads down towards turn number 1. He's managed to just about hold on though as they come down towards the first corner, but he'll have up the inside. That'll be Aaron Smith got up his inside. Aaron Smith trying to fight for the lead at the AM category as well, trying to go right to the outside of Negrete, and a spinner. That's Adriansson, and multiple cars there. About 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cars in turn number 1 in a big stack up, and they unfortunately now have to try and reverse it away. But Dreita, Bell now leads AM class. Negrete and Marteau, he hasn't lost too many places this time, but he still now has to come back up the inside. Just Negrete into the second chicane when he moves back up to P4, but now he's going to get past Aaron Smith. Again is now a little bit defensive from Dreita against Connor Bell, who looks really quick this evening, but Dreita trying to go for 2 in a row. But again, Sam, struggling off the line. Marteau didn't lose as many places this time, protected by the battles behind as Jack Reeve has to take to the grass and come back on. But again, yeah, massive lot of wheel spin, but he managed to hang on just a little bit better this time as we move for the lead now. Yeah,
and yeah, Bell was a fantastic start, but Bell looked like he kind of got the best start of anyone, but couldn't really do anything with it. Negrete as well, another wonderful start for him, and Martey very pleased to still be in 3rd position right now, breaking the draft, or maybe warming up the tyres at the moment with the 2 ahead battling. Could well get back with that lead battle. He's just got a little slither of the draft at the moment. A strong move there for Justin Negrete, moving back to 4th position past Smith as Beer's gone off the circuit, just track extending thing at the Parabolica. And Boberg and Brunstad, 2 of the front-running amateur drivers in the championship, battling hard with one another, as we are going to finally see that change for lead. Bell, seemingly, with the much better line. It's very tricky to defend into the down that wide pit straight. Has nearly contact between the 2 of them. Bell really managed to miss the apex by quite a large margin, but he managed to stay in the lead, and Martey is now right with them. It's a 3-car battle for the lead.
I think we've had Boberg had to take to the runoff areas. Here we go again. Drayta outside line for the next chicane. Bell goes defensive to the inside, but Drayta is back to the front. So all of a sudden, Marteau's with them in P3. So he's managed to drag himself back up with that small little battle. Now he's got the outside for Lesmo 1. Doesn't want to get too caught up in this one, but he's going now firmly in the train. Negrite back in front of the AM category, not too far off the back of them. Aaron Smith, Will Redford on a big charge. He's up to P6 in this race and trying to close up to these guys up front, which he might actually be able to do. But now Conor Bell back in the draft again, up towards Ascari, outside line for Ascari. Does Drayta just let him through, or will he try and fight it into Ascari? Late on the brakes again, he defends it, almost contact on the way through Ascari, and Drayta now has let Marteau line him up on the exit of Ascari, down towards the Parabolica, and all of a sudden Negrite's in this one too, trying to break the draft is Drayta out front. So you can see a little bit of weaving going on. Look at them now, trying to stay in the draft, and it's really hard to get away from it now. It's 4 cars at the front of this order. Negrite is now on the back of the overall lead battle, which is excellent to see an AM class driver mixing it up with the top guys. And Drayta leads after lap number 2. Conor Bell is firmly there, and now, Sam, this is what's so good about the Formula cars. This is proper single-seater junior Formula racing, what we're seeing right now. Lots of slipstream and lots of ballsy overtakes as Conor Bell on the grass tries to get past, and that was my case in point right there.
Yeah, 2 wheels onto the grass. The tarmac just runs out right there, and you kind of need to rely on your rival to give you some space. But these guys are going for the championship. There's never going to be any manners being given right there. Brunstad missing the chicane, it seems, right there, down to 10th place. Still having to go defensive. Bell doesn't have to make this one early on, as wow, Marteau's having to go defensive against Negrete, who's had a terrific pace so far. And this is, well, this could be a long race. If these two want to duel like this and defend into every corner, then, well, I think there's a slim chance of both them managing to get to the finish. As look at the curve they're taking. These are single-seater cars, usually pretty rigid with the suspension, and yet they are launching themselves over that second curve at the Lesmo, usually a never-touch curve right there. But, yeah, brilliant battling so far. I'm just questioning how long they can keep it up for.
Hopefully for the entire race distance, but they'll certainly have some more challenges coming the way. Will Redford on a big climb through the field up to P5, immediately now on the back of Negrite, and he'll certainly be in the mix after his terrible race number 1. But you can see right there, look how powerful the draft is, just dragging Conor Bell right back into it, and trying to get the eggs out of the Parabolica now. Imagine this was the last lap as we come down towards the start-finish line. Begin lap number 4. Drayta now. There's not really much he can do about this. Conor Bell inside line. Will he get pushed onto the grass again by Drayta as they come down towards the first corner? That is wheel-to-wheel contact. Drayta is trying to cover him off with everything. Drayta around the outside of the first corner. Conor Bell having to leave him the room on the inside, and they once again sort themselves out. Will Redford, look at him. What a great drive. P4 he's up to now, and he's actually now in a chance for the win as Conor Bell back up the inside through Curva Grande, and he'll have the run on the inside for the outside of the next corner. He's into the lead. He gets it done this time, and he now slots in front of Paulo Drayta, so the Canadian leads. But look at that, Will Redford up 7 places for where he started, and he's now firmly in with a chance of the win here.
It's the 4 championship rivals at the front. This is what we want to see and what we're kind of accustomed to in recent rounds, as well, Brunstad's had a bit of a rubbish round. There's Mark Redford in his first meeting of the season. Unfortunately, round right there, so many drivers have had problems so far. Westerhoff has had various misdemeanors in the opening laps, and that's why he's down in 14th place. Would really be wanting to battle with these front guys right now. But yeah, Bell at the moment ahead. That's wide for Drayta. He's got away with that time. Shouldn't pick up any damage, but that's really risky going onto the grass right there. Marteau will now try to move through. You can see Bell trying to give the draft a little bit to Marteau there. But actually, I think that's probably hurts him slightly, Bell, because it made the move easier for Marteau. Otherwise, they may have been side by side into the Parabolica. 7/10 is the gap. And just remember as well, Redford, of course, won, I believe, from 12th on the grid back at Montreal race 2. and so he's got reputation for winning after starting down the order, and this would be another fantastic performance if he could do the same thing here. Drater does move back into second place, but I think these guys are starting to work together now to start to catch up Bell. I think, you know, whilst you're in the lead, you want to stay in the lead, but I think with these guys all fighting for the championship, they really don't want to let Bell get away.
Yeah, and Bell is doing a really nice job of opening that gap out at 9/10 of a second, so he's slowly getting away at Aaron Smith, trying to get back past Florian Beer. They're fighting it out for second place here, and there goes Smith back to second in front of Beer. And we look for, oh, that's an off for Steve Brown. It's the same corner he went off just a race ago as he rejoins the circuit. I imagine it was, we've seen a bit of that today into the Parabolica. Had a spin through there, and we'll see now what's going on here with these guys as we continue on our way through this race. But it is Bell at the front for now, and I say for now. Well, he's actually managed to open the gap even further. He's opened it out to a second, and that's going to give a very faint toe, not much, to Drater, so he's not going to get the advantage. But Conor Bell, he's got some serious pace in the clean air out front, and Drater and Marteau just not able to make a dent in it just yet. He's just opened it out to a kind of comfortable space right now, and he's now comfortably out from 43.7 for these guys, 43.8. He's a 10th of a second quicker. Marteau is quicker, but of course he's in the draft behind Paulo Drater, and is he going to go for an overtake? He's going to have a look at the inside of the first corner. He was really late on the brake. Surely he's not going to make the corner. He does make the corner, doesn't quite, as he gets across the curb, and he has to give up the place back up to Drater, and Redford now might have a chance on him down towards the Curva Grande. And he'll have a look to the inside of Marteau. He'll have the toe off of Drater as well. So Redford up onto the podium places for now, and he gets in front of Marteau. That was a really audacious move from Thiago Marteau, but now that simple little exchange, and Conor Bell is now 2 seconds clear.
Yeah, that wasn't a particularly high IQ move there from Marteau. It seemed like Drater kind of had faith in him that he wasn't going to go for the move, because these guys need to work together after all to catch up to the leaders. And Marteau went for an incredible move there. I mean, the fact that he nearly got it stopped was incredible. I mean, he was going so much speed, he was so late on the brakes. But in the end, hopping over the curb, and will do well to not have any damage after that. And the driver around as well did a good job at avoiding him. Storno Gretti staying with these guys in 5th place, but yeah, it's not a stop bouncing as they are. They should start to pull away. It seemed like Marteau was actually losing time. Apologies, it was Drater who was losing time to Bell down the straight on that last time. I wonder if maybe Bell's running a little bit less downforce. Does just seem to be fast though, and I mean, he looks very quick in race 1 as well. Maybe in this final few laps starting to even out between Bell and Drater. There's no doubt that the Canadian has the pace for this race lead at the moment, as there he goes, 43.6, 44.7. I think you can put at least a second of that difference on that last lap down to the attempted move from Marteau, who is a little bit more polite this time, staying behind Redford. Aaron Smith having to do everything to keep behind Florian Beer. He has, maybe he's having fun out there a bit, because every stage of tonight he has been practicing with other drivers. Had a terrific battle earlier on with Costa da Silva and Kai. He's having a good battle in this race too as well, as Redford just feeling the need to go a little bit defensive there on Marteau, but now that gap starting to open up to about 7/10. He can't afford to lose much more time than that, otherwise Drater will be out of the draft.
Certainly will, and it is slightly opening it out a little bit wide through Lesmo 2 for those guys. But Bell has amazing pace and clean air. I tell you what, he's absolutely flying up front, fastest lap by nearly half a second over Drater last time around, and he's really, really comfortable out front. I was expecting Drater and the guys behind to stick with him in the tow, but he's just easily driven away from them because of their fighting. So he's really comfortable, unless he makes a mistake. This is most certainly his race. It's a great opportunity for him in the championship as well. Marteau at the moment sits in P4, Drayta as well will help him out as he's continuing to finish in front of Marceau. Through the parabolic, we come on board with Marceau as he tries to get in the draft of Will Redford. He's on a great recovery after race number 1. Here's the lap times this time, 43.5 for Conor Bell. 43.8 of 43.9. He's just quicker in the clean air, which is immensely surprising compared to everyone else, as Marceau goes for it on the inside of Will Redford. Redford does not fight it and lets him straight through, but it could be right, Sam, that he's running less wing and he's just driving away from everybody.
Yeah, no, I mean, if he's even with these other drives to the corners, despite running less wing, I mean, that'd be absolutely insane, because we've seen so many slides as well for the drivers tonight. It's really tricky. I think the track temperature must be fairly high as well, because the interim time of day will be in the summer, and it looks pretty bright up there at least. So yeah, it's bit really impressive if Bell is managing to pull off that strategy at the moment. That was a little bit of a cue, and you know, Mark Belvin is not having the best nights here at his home Grand Prix. I wanted to see the panel, which shows you all the information on the side of the screen, because that's just one of the many elements that SDK Gaming provides, along with the timing tower, along with the Pro-Am at the top, along with the logos everywhere, along with the battle boxes we sometimes have, the driver information, the gaps over time, the track map. There's so many graphics that you can use, and they are all absolutely fantastic to look at, really good to watch the action. And of course you can download pretty much this exact overlay for yourself. There you go, I love that little graph. You can yeah, download this software and use this exact overlay if you want by going to SDK-gaming.co.uk. There's also loads of other fantastic templates as well, which replicate real-life motorsports. The old 3.5 overlay, and also NASCAR overlay as well. It's some absolutely awesome kits, as we see Redford coming back against Marceau. That's a good amount of space there. It's got back passes up into third place. But yeah, SDK Gaming with so much customization as well. It's amazing as a broadcasting tool, as a streaming tool, and also it's great use as well for when you are racing as a heads-up display. It's got a fuel calculator and everything, so it can provide all the information you need. So do check out sdk-gaming.co.uk to get a 14-day free trial. As Negretti, with a little bit of a misplaced move there, I wonder if he actually outbraked himself more than going for an overtake. He has just dropped off Redford and Marceau ever so slightly.
Yeah, not a massive problem for the green side, because he's still leading the AM class anyway, but it would still be something to get an AM class driver on the overall podium. He's not far off it. The podium sitter is Will Redford at the moment in P3. Aaron Smith is about 5 seconds away from him as well, nearly 6. It's Vesterhoff goes up the inside of Brinstad. He's trying to make some ground. Vesterhoff started nearly at the back, actually. So he's done some good work to get himself in the top 10 here. As Steven Vesterhoff, he moves up another place into 9th as we get across the line. Just about under 5 minutes to go. So this race is well, not 5 minutes. My maths. I've just come home from work. I'm so sorry. 15 minutes left in this race. We're halfway through this race. As we come down the front straight, here comes now Marceau as he gets in the slipstream of Redford again. They're still continuing to trade places here, and Marceau is just going to gently move to the inside. Is he going to go for the overtake this time? He does. Redford leaves him loads of room, and you can tell that Redford doesn't want to battle. He wants to try and close the gap up to Drayta, but it's not quite working, because Drayta, look at him, he's gone. He's gone up the road from these two, and these guys just kind of struggling to get back up as Redford again goes to the outside of Marceau into the next chicane, and but doesn't decide to go for the overtake, and he sits behind for another little bit. But it's amazing how these guys are able to get away from the draft despite the powerful slipstream. And Drayta's away in clean air and is actually, funny enough, doing better lap times than what he was in the draft.
Yeah, it's I don't think Marceau's going to have many friends after this, and I don't think that'll be too useful, to be honest. These guys are all going for the championship against one another, but he has fought ever so hard, and well, you could make it the argument because he's maybe faster than all of them. I mean, he's been probably the fastest driver so far this season, even if the results haven't necessarily shown that. So maybe he feels like he should be the one towing along the others. But undoubtedly, the constant fighting between these drivers has cost them so much, because the gap between themselves and Bell is, in pure pace, is less than 0.2 of a second. I'm almost certain, and yet they are 6 seconds off the lead and losing half a second a lap, most laps at the moment, as Marte does able to get a little bit of a gap. Interestingly, Negretti seems to have a really skinny rear wing. From what I can see, as here comes Redford, he'll go to the outside inside, was a possibility for him, and more time lost for these drivers. Once again, has to go sideways there. Sideways there does Marte, and yeah, honestly, if these guys finish 3rd and 4th, they'll be very lucky, because once again, I was saying it earlier on between I think it was Jata and Bell when they were battling, when you're kind of getting so close to one another lap after lap after lap, it's kind of just a matter of time until a little bit of netcode or a mistake costs you, and a mistake has just cost Marte. There, he's down back into 4th.
Decent point from Sam Fitzpatrick right there. Marteau makes the error, lets Redford through, and Negrete is now with them. So you can see the kind of difference between the kind of driving styles, or what Redford's thinking and what Marteau is thinking, because of the previous lap. When Marteau went for the overtake on Redford, Redford just led him straight through, opened the steering, gave him loads of room. A lap later, Redford tries to do the same thing. He has to go to the outside, and Marteau defends with everything he's got. So there's obviously two different mindsets going on here. They're fighting for a podium. I mean, there's not necessarily, you don't have to work together, absolutely, but it probably will frustrate Redford that he hasn't been able to keep up with the leaders. And that's probably what he wanted to do. Negrete's surprised probably that he's even still with these guys. He's an absolute country mile in front of everyone else in the AM category at the moment. As through Parabolica they will come. Let's have a look and see what happens on this lap by. Marteau will get the run and the draft down the front straight. And let's see, I don't think he's actually going to be close enough to go for an overtake this time, so he may have to sit behind. And you can actually hear him lifting this time, so he's not close enough to go for the overtake, and he's happy enough to sit behind through the first chicane, and not going for it this time. A little bit of oversteer on the way out, but no troubles from him, but he hasn't fought it this time. Gap up front, by the way, is staying even at 2.9, so Drayta's matching Connor Bell, and the lap times are much better than they were in the dirty air and slipstream of before, but it's a bit too little too late unless Connor Bell makes an error, because he's been banging in the same lap times as Redford gets a little bit loose. He's been banging in the same lap times for the past 9 laps or so, and it's basically impossible for anyone to catch them. They're so evenly matched. So Connor Bell, by making that overtake and opening the gap as early as he did, utilising the battle in behind, he's given himself a comfortable advantage now.
Yeah, it looks like the kind of the job is done, isn't it? And just needs to bring it home from here on in. Thanks to everyone who's commented on the video in the live chat. Good to see so many of you watching and supporting various drivers. Just a question from Matt Jones, asking if Bell builds his own setups, or whether they are pre-made. Not quite sure. It's a very good question. We will ask him. That, of course, the series is one of the series sponsors for this is Apex Racing Academy, where you can get pre-made setups from, and also driving tuition, hot lap tutorials, all of that jazz. And you can download the software at apexracingac.com. All the setups are downloaded for you straight into your file directory. It takes absolutely no time to download the setups whatsoever. It's really easy to use, and of course this Formula 3 car is one of the cars supported, but I will risk having egg on my face when we maybe ask Connor Bell that later on, because yeah, not quite sure if he uses Apex Racing Academy, Virtual Racing School, or maybe another means, as Reeve has a little bit of an excursion at Ascari.
Yep, and of course an extra little point about Apex Racing Academy, it's fully integrated with VRS software, so it's even better than of course than the other. So of course, yeah, the drivers do all have access to the Apex Racing Academy setups. They don't have to use them, but they are there for them to use. I'm sure some of them will be using them, others may have just decided to tune it out or have tuned it to their own liking. Of course, we're seeing different wing settings for these guys throughout the field. There's a scrap going on here. There's Boberg, Westerhoff and Beer, and Beer has actually lost that place to Boberg. Boberg now into P3. Westerhoff moves up to P8. Beer down in 4th in class. Brunstad then behind him. But the gap is humongous in the AM category. You see Negrite, he's 8 seconds off the lead. Aaron Smith, 24 seconds off the lead. So big gaps in the order between Negrite and Smith. And Negrite is basically battling for the podium at the moment. He's right up there, the overall podium that is. He's right up there as Redford and Marceau personal bests on that time. So that's what they should have been doing a little bit earlier, as Westerhoff goes for the inside of Parabolica. And Boberg, does he fight it? Yes, he does. He's trying to keep it in around the outside, but really difficult to do in these cars. He's going to manage to do it, though, carry the momentum. Westerhoff sees him, leaves him in loads from basically the entire track to try and get a move back past him. Westerhoff's got the inside for the first chicane, though, and it may be a little bit tougher, and he does manage to slot in front of Richard Boberg, who's still in contention for the AM class championship, so he's not going to fight it too hard, but he's now on the podium in that category, as well as Brunstad and Rock Mertzel. They're fighting for position on track, not necessarily within categories. Brunstad trying to keep his P10, Mertzel trying to get himself in the top 10, and he should be able to do that relatively easily. Outside line through Curva Grande, and he moves in front that's Brunstad, sorry, Brunstad moves in front of Florian Beer. It looks like, I think Beer actually has some front end damage on the right side, so that would explain why he's fallen down the order. You can see it on the left hand side as you're looking at it, the bent front wing, and of all tracks to break your front wing or bend it, this is the worst place to do it.
Yes, yeah, I had to take a double check at that one, seeing it feels that some of that flexi wing that has been talked about in the paddock recently. But no, it is yeah, damaged, and of course that really explains it, because I was quite confused myself, because of course he was battling with Smith earlier on, and you know that was very early on, but I think he probably had the pace to keep up with Smith, honestly, and now he's 10 seconds behind, so we're not putting up any fight there. Merzel isn't going to threaten him. I think Merzel's pace isn't very good in the 47s at the moment, so yeah, no. Oh, Redford is going to go across, and he's kept the position for now, but of course he will have a slowdown, and this is going to bring back Negrete into play. Now later on in the race this can actually be not too bad, because iRacing will compare the time that will say that you had to go, say, a second slower than your best lap, I believe. And of course, because Redford's picked up a draft on one of those laps, actually his best lap is very quick, and so you won't have to slow down too much. So I don't think it's the end of the world for him on that front. At least does stay in 4th place, as we see an issue for Derek Holland. Just a moment ago, he's still running, but I think that's just dropped him behind Mark Redford.
Indeed, yeah, as trying to see what's going on further down the order as well. I mean, it's
just how Jinson's managed to get tagged around earlier on, and that car park, some of the Indy Autosports drivers did a brilliant job there, just, you know, waiting. Ooh, Mark Redford's into the wall. That'll be the end of his day, so that is one of the places back for Holland. But yeah, that first chicane, it was really impressive how some of the drivers further back down the order stood on the brakes in order to avoid any damage. As good driving, but unfortunately it's just part of this circuit, as we see the incident for Redford losing the car, maybe getting on that slippery curb on the inside and spinning the car around. Back to live pictures, and this is Westerhoff maybe completing his comeback drive after starting all the way down in 18th place. He's up into 7th, passing Richard Boberg with ease, and I think that'll be as far up as the Dutch driver gets to the end of the race.
Yeah, Boberg looks like he might try to come back at him here. Maybe he'll sit behind. I don't think it's really worth Boberg actually trying to overtake him, and I don't think he actually is going to. He's going to sit behind Westerhoff. He knows he's not fighting for position. The man he's fighting for position with is behind him, his Norwegian rival. Brunstad, who's just coming through the first chicane now. There he is, the background of shot. Has now 3 minutes left in this race, not long at all. And Connor Bell is now 4 seconds lead. He also holds the fastest lap as well on top of that. He went 0.4 of a second quicker than Drayton to set that fastest lap as well. So he is in complete control, and he's now on course for a victory and some good points in the championship as well. Drayton on for a great points haul, a win and a second for him. And Marceau trying to go for 2 third places, not too bad, but he also still has Will Redford behind him, so he's not out of the woods just yet. But Redford, of course, making that small error into the first corner, locking up, having to take the escape road. Now he drops behind, he's going to have to try and make that move again. And across the line now, Bell just crossed the line now, and we should have another 2 laps on the clock. And there you can see Drayton actually bringing the gap down by about 0.6 of a second that lap. So Connor Bell not having a great lap that time around, so he doesn't need to be pushing on this late into the race, so he can kind of chill out. Hopefully he's not under-fueled it. That's the only thing I can say for him. That's the only thing that could stop him, really, apart from a secondary mistake. But I've seen it many times. We've seen it today as well, drivers under-fueling in their second race. And hopefully it doesn't happen to Connor Bell. But championship should be interesting now, heading into the next couple of rounds. It'll certainly be Drayton opening the gap, but Connor Bell, he should be able to maybe secure himself second in the championship going into the next round.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout. I mean, Marteau would have been hoping for more, obviously, wouldn't he? But he's had a couple of rough rounds recently as Marteau. Okayama was tricky for him. Silverstone, if I recall correctly, could have gone better. So just having 2 clean races will be a relief for him. But especially considering that he was my big favourite for the championship going into the second half of the season, as Costa da Silva has had a problem. I wonder if we could get a replay of that. Wow, that's a big impact. I wonder if he's collided with another car, because that is suspiciously far down the straight. No, he's actually lost it all by himself as the 207, unless there's a ghost haunting this track. Is it a hardware failure? Yep. Steering lock all the way to the left, and well, glad that doesn't happen too much in real life motorsport. That'd get pretty scary. But yeah, shame for Costa da Silva here, and yeah, we'll have seen that before this season for him, and completely by himself. No chance to retaliate against that one. And of course, back to the championship, because we do have 2 drop scores as well across the 10 meetings we have. We have 3 more meetings after this one, and out of the 10 meetings we do have 2 drop scores, and at the moment, to the points, I believe only one of them is applying. And so when you take that into consideration, all gets very complicated. So it's take the results with a grain of salt, because if a driver's poor meeting is still contributing to that score, or maybe if a driver's been particularly consistent and hasn't got maybe a bad score, they'll be really penalised by that drop score, because they'll lose a bunch of points for maybe a meeting that didn't actually go that bad for them compared to another driver. So yeah, still plenty to go this season, as we're on the last lap, of course. And it's still this man well ahead in the lead.
Yep, he's just cruising around on this lap is Connor Bell. He's just about to come up to some back markers, and I don't think they're going to pose an issue for him. They might just let him through just to not have to go to another lap inside the line of the parabolic. Yeah. And Connor Bell, absolutely brilliant job from him today. He comes round the last corner and he will win the feature race here at Monza with a dominant display, and a great win from him. Paulo Drayton, a first and a second for the Brazilian. Marceau is third, Redford fourth, and Justin Agrite, a double win today in the AM category. He takes the victory in the feature race by a margin of over 15 seconds as we wait for the last few guys to cross the line. Aaron Smith will finish in P2 in the AM category. That should retain his lead in the championship. Then Boberg will finish in third, and Brunstad P4. Florian Berry still limping around with the front end damage, and he'll come across for 5 in class. Merzel's going to come across the line in 11th overall. Jack Reeve a long way down the order compared to where he was. And Jensen Adriansen's then will be the last car to come across the line. Here's Merzel, he's put enough fuel in this time to get across the start finish. Here he comes, and across the line for 11th overall this race. Jack Reeve and Adriansen's we are waiting for to cross the start finish line. But really impressive drive from Connor Bell. Get out in the lead, he had to fight for it early on, but once he got in clean air, there was absolutely no stopping him today.
Yeah, and he looked so good in race 1 as well, didn't he? I mean, once he got into a bit of clean air, of course, in race 1 as well, once he was into 2nd place, he was really storming along well. We've just seen a different driver at the front in each of the rounds so far this season. Sometimes it's Redford, sometimes it's Bell, sometimes it's Jater, sometimes it's Marte. And with the points as close as they are, if one of those drivers can really take a stranglehold and be the fastest driver out of all of them in the final 3 meetings of the season, we could well see this championship change once again. By the way, quick shout out to Virtual Racing School for also helping us out for this broadcast and for this championship. Virtual Racing School, of course, with over 50 data packs for road and oval racing. You've also got setups, track guides, data analysis software, and one-on-one coaching with some of the best drivers in all of iRacing. And as Jack was saying earlier on, it is integrated into Apex Racing Academy, so you can get the benefits of each. And we are going to show you a little bit of a trailer actually for Apex Racing Academy just before we go to the interviews in a moment. So we'll be back with you in just a second. Thanks once again to Apex Racing Academy for the support for the series, and also to them and SDK Gaming for offering prizes to the drivers. I think the championship winner gets a year's subscription, which is absolutely mega. That's worth quite a bit of money as well. So yeah, very good prizes offered by them, and also kind of monthly subscriptions available for some of the top teams and the top drivers in both the professional and the amateur championships. So thanks to them. There are the results: Bell, Drater, Marteau, Redford, and Negretti. In the top 5, Negretti, top of the amateurs, there was Aaron Smith, Stephen Westerhoff, Ricard Boberg, Simon Brunstad, Florian Beer, Rock Merzel, Jack Reeve, Jensen Adriansens, Derek Holland, Alexander Rockenbach, Daniel Costa da Silva, Steve Brown, Mark Redford. Redford unfortunately retiring. Also Costa da Silva and Brown won't score points. Kittelman, Adriansens. In fact, actually, I think it was just Kittelman, finished in 19th. Darrell Adriansens, I hesitated because he did take the start, but he crashed absolutely immediately. I think he got a stop-go penalty for jumping the start. He was certainly rolling on the grid and then just had enough, and so that's why he was so far down. And Christian Engelhardt, I'm not sure if he even started. Engelhardt, if he did, then he did not complete much of the race. So we are going to have a chat now with a couple of our judges. We've got a couple of good selections to start off with. First up, we will talk with Connor Bell, who joins us now in the commentary box. I bring you up, of course, Connor, because you had a terrific round, joint highest point scorer, I believe, tonight. But also, someone in the YouTube chat asked us a question earlier on about what setups you use. I mean, do you design your own? Do you maybe take them from a setup supplier, or yeah, what setup were you running tonight?
Thank you guys. So I'm not, I've tried out the different setup shops, like VRS, PDS, stuff like that. And the VRS setups are actually pretty good. But I'm actually joining or on a team. So a guy called Connor Wagner makes private setups for me. He also uploads them on the F3 forum if you guys are interested. But yeah, it's a privately made setup, and yeah, it's a bit of a rocket ship in a straight line here at Monza. So yeah, credits to him for that, the win. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to do it without the setup. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're just watching the replay now, and you can visually see the skinniness of that rear wing. Of course, you know, that's fantastic down the straights, and yet through the corners, you seem to be just as quick as the other drivers. I mean, you must have been surprised by the level of your pace, because of course Okayama, you got pole position, and I managed to win the 2 races, but tonight probably was your best meeting of the season, I'd say.
Yeah, yeah, man, those were a couple great races there. Good fighting with Paulo. He was super quick in the first and second race, but luckily him and Marto and Will Redford got caught up around the middle point of the race. So yeah, I took advantage of that and just pulled away.
And we have got 3 more meetings of the season to go. You're right in the championship hunt. I mean, you came into this round with a little bit of catching up to do, but you've done some of that catching up tonight, obviously. How do you rate your chances?
Well, I don't want to jinx anything here, but you know, I think originally, as I said before, my goal was top 3 in the championship. I think I'm probably second after today. So if I can keep putting results like this on the board, then maybe I'll have a chance at the win. But yeah, I don't want to speak too early because my competitors are very quick.
Definitely. Well, thanks for having a chat with us, Connor. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, shout out to Connor Wagner for the setup again, and to Delta Sport U4K, and yeah, that's about it.
Great. Well, thanks for having a chat with us, Connor, and best of luck for next week.
Yeah, thanks guys. Thanks for the broadcast.
Connor Bell there, your race winner in race 2 and second place in race 1. Jack, who are we going to have a chat with next?
We chat to him every week. Let's drag him up here. Let's have a chat with Will Redford, who finishes early up in the order. Will, thanks for hopping in once again. A bit of a round of 2 halves. Early spin in race number 1, but a great climb back through the field in race number 2 to get yourself a solid finish at the end, P4.
Yeah, just one of those races. You know, I need to be scoring more points, not added on to my drop weeks. But that's this one will be another drop week for me.
Yeah, absolutely. We noticed as well, of course, yourself and Marto were quite close together for a good chunk of that race. Was it a case that you kind of wanted to work with Marto to close up to the guys in front, or were you just fighting for position?
So I was like, my whole plan is to work together with people and get as high up as I could. So when I got onto the back of the 3 of them fighting at the front, I just wanted to keep the gaps close, so no one could pull away. And then Connor started to build a gap, but we still had Paulo in front. He was keeping the gap close, and he was closing it slowly. And then you had Marto. He sent a move, and we lost the draft on Connor. And then it came down to a situation where it's the same thing with me. I was slowly catching back up to Paulo after dropping back a bit, and then he sent a move on me, and we lost the draft again. So I would have liked to have worked with him to keep with everyone, but I think he was just sort of focusing on the guy in front of him and not the race as a whole. But yeah, it was a good result. You know, it could have been worse. P4 in the end, so I'll take it.
Yeah, great stuff. We're of course heading off to heading stateside. I think next week we're heading off to Road Atlanta, a very different circuit to Monza. So what are going to be the challenges there?
Just committing to the corners, really. You know, there's a lot of blind corners or deceptive corners. It's all like high downforce, high speed. So it should suit me. You know, these are the tracks I like. I like high downforce tracks, so I'm hoping to do well there. But I've not really turned any laps yet, so I don't know how I'm going to be pace-wise.
Yeah, good stuff. Look forward to seeing it. Well, Will, thanks for hopping in with us. As always, before you let you go, is there anyone you'd like to give a quick shout or a thank you to while we're on stream?
Yeah, thanks to you guys for doing the broadcast. Shout out to my dad for joining in for the last few rounds. I don't think he finished the feature though. And shout out to my competitors.
Great stuff. Will Redford there, P4 in the feature race. Thanks, and hopefully we'll be chatting to you again next week.
Thanks.
That was Will Redford, and I had the suspicion, I didn't want to say it, Sam, that was his dad, because we did notice him actually in the YouTube chat throughout the series, but he's finally jumped in with his son. Great to see.
I think I personally attacked him in round 1 of the championship, so good memories on that front. We got one more interview to go. It is amateur championship leader, Mr. Aaron Smith, who didn't win either of the amateur races tonight. That honour went to Justin Negretti, but still, Aaron, you've managed to quite considerably open up your gap in the amateur championship. So overall, a good night's racing.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really be disappointed that I didn't win, to be honest, which I'm not. Justin's face today was just magical. Like, I was just shocked in practice seeing him fight mainly with the pros, which was just mental. So I knew today a win would be either really difficult or impossible. And it was made even worse by my qualifying being horrible, down in 14th. But I was just lucky to avoid first lap carnage and just kept it clean for both races and ended up scoring quite a decent amount of points in the end.
How was it from your perspective at the start of that race too? Were you just ahead of all the mess? Because it seemed to get pretty tasty as well, because, Marteau couldn't get it off the line tonight, so I guess you were kind of battling with him for a bit. It looked quite chaotic.
Yeah, it was a bit like argy-bargy, because I got a really good jump off the start, and was up into third by turn 1. But I knew, because I was, again, trying to fight for a championship, I just didn't really want to risk fighting with anyone that's actually quicker than me. So I kind of just let Motto and Will just go off and do their own thing. And I knew just as long as I stayed ahead of Florian, I'll be fine. I wasn't going to fight Justin either, because as I said before, he was just mentally quick today. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to play it smart and not really take too many risks today, and it worked out in the end.
Road Atlanta's the next round of the championship. I believe the official series may have visited there last week. Were you able to do many laps?
I did a couple races. I finished only a few of them, but I looked to be fairly quick around it. I mean, Road Atlanta's a pretty fun track to drive around. It suits these F3 cars pretty well. The only thing I'm worried about is first and second laps, because we're all just going to be so bunched up, especially in that first sector. I just think it's going to be absolute chaos, and if you can keep it clean, you'll probably be within the top 10 easily, and that's pretty much going to be my ideology going into Road Atlanta, just keeping it clean.
Well, best of luck for it. And is there anyone you'd like to give any thanks to whilst we're on stream?
As usual, my parents for always watching me. Jack, he had a pretty good race today, better than he usually does. And obviously you guys at Apex for putting on the broadcast and setting up this league. This league is so fun, I love it. But yeah, thanks.
Awesome, well thanks for having a chat with us, Aaron, and yeah, see you next week.
Thanks guys.
and Smith there, runner-up in both races in the amateur category tonight. Yeah, we've touched on it a couple of times, Jack. Next round, the championship, Road Atlanta. I've really become quite fond of that circuit recently. I mean, everything that you drive it in is good fun, and we were broadcasting the IGP Fun last Sunday, I think, around that track, and just the downforce of these Formula 3 cars kind of makes that almost into a bit of a speed drone like this place, because through the S's you're only actually braking a couple of times. You're kind of braking into the S's, and then on the last corner the rest of it is all flat out. So these cars produce so much speed that I think overtaking will be fairly easy out there.
Yeah, I also have a fond place in my heart for Road Atlanta. Many times the races have come through there. I hark back to to last year, the Isolation Series, where we had that incredible finish right at the end, where we had the 4 cars trying to get through the last chicane, and they all crashed, and ended up being a championship decided by 7/100ths of a second across the line. So Road Atlanta is great for these cars, and yeah, really looking forward to it. And it's going to be, I think it is going to be quite similar to Monza, but I think a little bit more fun.
Yeah, I think so. Could be an absolutely fantastic round of the championship. We'll be heading there, of course, next week. Thanks once again to all the sponsors for the championship: SDK Gaming, Virtual Racing School, and Apex Racing Academy. Do check out all of them. There's links in the description below to each. Thanks for tuning in, of course, for this round of the championship. Do check out our Twitch channel if you haven't already. If that's the place that you prefer to watch your streams on, then head over to Twitch, because we're broadcasting all of our races over there anyway, so you may as well. And of course, if you've enjoyed this video, do leave a like on it, and also subscribe to Apex Racing TV, because we've got so many more races coming up over the next few days. We've got IGP Fun tomorrow in the Formula 3 cars, if that's what you want to watch, along with loads of other stuff. Prototype racing, more single-seater racing. We've got the 3.5s later on, of course, so yeah, do check it out. But for now, from myself, Sam Fitzpatrick, from Jack Canan, and from Marco Barbonet, we are going to say goodbye, and we'll see you next time.